Okay guys, this is the piece that we're going to use to close in this section and give a surface to mount the control panel to. Now I'm not going to put it on the red side, that laminate side's going down. We've got this old flat black that they had on the inside. I believe that's what it is. It could be a black primer, but it's what's on the inside of some parts of the cabinet where they didn't want any of the light colored wood to show. But we're going to turn it up like this and mount it, but we do need to leave a 1-inch reveal in the front, so we're going to have to come back some, because if you look down below where the old front was, they had these spacers, and I think it was almost a 3/4 inch piece that was in the front, and those are spaced 1 inch back on both sides. That's about an inch back they're spaced, and once you mount a 3/4 inch piece of plywood in there, it's going to leave about a 1/4 inch reveal, which is just, you know, for design kind of. But I'm going to extend those on up to the top of there, either with a piece of wood the same size as those, or it might be a little wider, but just something that the front can screw into and glue to. But first thing we do is need to make some marks here so that I know exactly what 1 inch back is from the corner there on each side, and that's where we're going to be positioning this and mounting it to. And I'm going to go outside and cut the bevels off of this with the table saw. This piece of wood is beveled. See if I can hold it up for you. If you look on the end here, it's beveled on both sides. Now I don't care too much about the front bevel, but the piece that's going to be closest, well, I say front, that's going to be like towards the inside of the cabinet. That part would be like extending out towards where the front panel will mount. We want it to be flat, and that's so the front panel can lay flat against it and have a gluing or screwing surface to, you know, screw those two together if we need to do that. And this blocking that's on there, I believe I'll use it because it looks pretty good. It's just some small pieces of wood that have they're stapled on each side to this piece, and there's one screw in the middle, and I don't think there's any wood glue between there because they've made it to a surface that's got laminate, but there may be a little bit. And then those two screws there were already in there on each side, because this was originally mounted near the back of the cabinet behind the hollow space where the marquee light was. It was just giving a little more rigidity to the cabinet, but we're going to reuse it here, and you know, it'll make a good piece for this section. So I'll be back in a minute after I go cut the bevel off of this one side at least. I might cut it off both sides just to make it uniform. Alright guys, I got the board ready for installation. I cut the bevels off of both sides. As you can see there, it's a 90-degree angle now instead of the bevel, and did the same on the inside. Let me show you from the back of the cab maybe. Not sure if you can tell there, but it's kind of dark, but the bevel's off the back side too. But anyways, we're ready for installation now, and what I did is I put some of my clamps in place, and the black clamps that you see here, they're just holding off an inch spacing in the front here. I measured exactly an inch spacing, and the little clamp, the orange clamp mechanism on them is spaced so that it's keeping the board we're going to mount exactly 1 inch from the front, so it'll line up with the little cleats right down there, so when we put a 3/4 inch front on it, they'll have the exact same spacing all the way up. And it's the same on this side. We got 1 inch of reveal there in front of that cleat, and I did the same with that black clamp, so it's keeping it back exactly 1 inch. Now the clamps underneath are holding a temporary piece of stock. That's just a small piece of 3-inch wood, and I got a small piece of pine there that had a good straight edge on it, and they're just holding the cleat that's made into this piece that we're mounting, so that it keeps it so that it's pretty much flush up here up top, just about flush. Now I did leave just a very slight reveal of this plywood, kind of proud of the edge of this, because I know that when I set the control panel down on just the plywood, the way I've got it cut, that it looks really good. And I didn't want this to be up even just a hair, because then from the side of the cabinet you would see a small gap between the plywood that makes up the side and the side of the control panel. If anything, I wanted it to rest as solidly as possible on the plywood where we've cut it. That way this right here is just reinforcing it, and it gives something to attach to. But if there is any difference, it's no more than like probably a 1/64 of an inch. Did that on both sides, so the edge is just of this is just sitting just slightly proud of this. You can just barely feel a ridge there all the way across. But we're going to take it out and put some wood glue on it and set it back in place and carefully drive the screws, and try not to disturb the way that it's sitting there. But I can always just move my fingers up here and kind of feel the reveal, and just do my best as I'm putting it in if the clamps do move or anything. Okay guys, what I want to do is put some of the, put these screws in that are in the cleats. I'm not going to put new screws in because these are perfectly fine. But I'm going to go ahead and drive them home, and that's before I put the wood glue in there. And I'm doing that so I can go ahead and make the hole in the wood so that when I put the glue in and go to install it, it's not going to shift around on me, because once the glue's in, it's going to be a big mess if those screws don't run in right where they're supposed to, and this is out of place. It's going to make a mess. So if I go ahead and run the screws in now, I'll have something to guide me along the way. So hopefully I can get under here and do this without killing myself, because this is so low and I'm not young anymore. Okay, I know one side has already moved. The side above my head has moved some. Right on this side, I felt it move. This side, it's not off very much. It's still pretty much lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other screw in over here, and then I'll kind of realign and run the screws in on that side. Okay, the reveal first feels pretty good. It's not all the way up against there, but I haven't flushed the screws all the way in, so once I give the screws a few more turns, it would pull it all the way in. But that right there is probably pretty good right now for what we want to do. We just kind of want to make a hole for the screw to fall into, and I didn't want to drill pilot holes because, you know, it was a little hard to make that line up perfectly with these. We'll just let the screws make their own holes. Now this side we've come out of alignment. And it's what it's doing is it's pushing the cabinet apart a little bit because it's not seated all the way down. So I'm going to have to drive these screws on in a ways. Okay, that drew it up. That took most of the slack up. It feels pretty good. Front doesn't have too much of a reveal. Back just got a hair of reveal, but I just don't want it to make the control panel set up higher than what the edge of the cabinet is. Now over here I can tell my black clamp has moved. I don't think this one has, but I'm going to remeasure to make sure I've got an inch offset from the front, because that's really important. Got a little small 6-inch ruler here. it's good for small measurements like that. Yeah, we're still good on this side. So no problems on this side. We just gotta reset the left side. And we still look pretty decent on our reveal, but this clamp has just moved. Oh yeah, we're off by a good bit. Mainly because this is flexed. It's just pulling since the screws are in there. This side is pulled tighter than the back side, and it's trying to true the cabinet up kind of. This plywood could have warped slightly over the years, and we're going to force this back a little bit and start running the screws, and that'll kind of true everything up. I've been trying to measure this for square on everything I've put in it, and making sure, like when you put the cleats in here and there, that you got the same amount of inches from the front edges of them up here in the front, and that they're at the same angle and all. And you know, it gets a little tough as you're going. There's always something's going to be, you know, 1/8 of an inch off or 1/16 of an inch off, just a little bit. If you get to 1/8, you start worrying a little bit. A 1/16 of an inch is not that bad. 32nd of an inch is not bad at all. If you start creeping up towards, you know, past 1/8 of an inch or something, you can end up with trouble on down the road. So, but the cabinet wasn't perfect when I got it anyways. That right there looks like about 1 inch reveal. Yeah, it's almost dead on 1 inch. Slide our clamp back in place. It keeps trying to move. It just isn't strong enough to hold that wood in place. We're almost dead perfect right there. I'm tempted just to go ahead and run those screws in just like it's sitting. Can't get any more close than that. Let's see if I can get one screw toenail it in. Yeah, I think that worked good. Oh yeah, dead perfect. And the reveal's dead perfect too. Let's run the back one in. Looks real good. Let's make sure our clamps and our guides are all flush with what we've got now, because that's exactly the way we need it. Now, you could install this like this and just use those couple of screws on each side, but I'm not planning on ever really trying to take it apart again once I get it together, and I want it to be really strong and rigid, so I'm going to go ahead and put some wood glue in there. So we've got all the clamps in place where they are now. We're going to take these pieces back out, put some glue on, put them back in place, and run the screws in. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and back the screws back out. I think we got them out far enough. Make sure it's still sitting in there about where we want. Yeah, looks really good. Check our reveal one more time. Looks good there. Looks good there. Just lift it up. I'll put some wood glue on here. And if you take a look, let me show you close up right quick. Take a look there. You can see how I'm blocking the light. You can see how the screws where they went in, they made a hole right there in the center of your screen, and another hole right there. And those screws are going to fall right back into those holes pretty easy. Same way on the other side here. You got a hole there and a hole there. So let me set the camera back in place. Get our wood glue. I'm splintering the plywood a little bit, laying on it. Okay, got our wood glue. And we're going to put just a little bit up here to bond with the plywood and the cleat. It's probably going to run some, but at least right now we've got this little temporary piece in there that's going to catch some of it, but we're going to have to take them off pretty quick because I don't want the glue getting all over my clamps. And also, when I'm putting this piece on, these two cleats are not identical. This cleat here is kind of rounded, and I'm not sure if it's the same height as this other cleat. They're pretty close. This is squared. That's just because they used some scrap wood to make these cleats when they built this cabinet a long time ago. So I'm just remembering this perfectly square one is on this side because it might sit a little different on its support than this one right here until we get it in place. So here we go. Time to do the messy stuff. Uh-oh. And we're already making a mess. Ah, it's coming out funny. Let me get a paper towel. There's some dry glue on the end of it. There we go. Maybe we can get it to work now. Yeah. Get it on my hand anyway. Okay, gotta do it on both sides. I'm not gonna put much of a bead on here because there's a good bit on there on the cabinet, but we're gonna put a little. On both sides. And we're going to set it in place. Make sure we're doing the right side to the right side. Nope, we're not. I got it backwards. Everything looks pretty good. Go ahead and run our screws in. I'm going to do it in the same order we did before. Let's see. Yeah. should find the original hole that they were in. The screws usually take the path of least resistance. If there's a hole already there, you can forget just trying to move to the side a 1/16 of an inch or so and make a new hole for a screw. It's going to try to fall back into the original hole. It's good sometimes like this, but it's not good other times. Okay, that side looks pretty good. We ain't got it all the way tight, but we're close. Oh, this one seized up good. Oh yeah, turned out great. Hush, birdie. Be quiet, Chewy. Okay, guys. Wow, that actually turned out better than I hoped. It's like it almost repositioned itself even better than it was. That's great. Let me measure. Got a 1-inch reveal. And a 1-inch reveal. We're dead on the money, guys. That's great. Got to pull my clamps loose and get any glue off of them that's on them before it starts drying. I tell you what, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get all my clamps off of here, clean up some of my glue residue, and I'll come back and show you the results. Okay guys, I got the clamps off, got the glue cleaned up, and I tell you what, this just worked out even better than I imagined. I thought I was going to be off somewhere once the screws went in, but I think doing the screws first really helped me out a lot. And I didn't seat them super tight down when I done them the first time. Well, this time when I seated them super tight down with the glue in between there, I mean, it just absolutely put it dead on exactly what I needed. I mean, I don't know if you can see or not, but there's just a tiny hair of a reveal for the side panel. That's exactly what I needed. I mean, it's not even a 32nd of an inch, probably a 64th of an inch. And I just wanted that to keep the control panel, you know, flush with the sides. And this side, it's hard for you to see in this lighting. Let's see if I can get you a little more light. But it's exactly the same. There's a very, very tiny, tiny reveal there, maybe a 64th of an inch between the side of the flat piece of blackwood here and the side panel plywood. I mean, it's just, I mean, my spacing in the front's dead on 1 inch. Everything just worked out great. I can't believe that, because I mean, this would come from a totally different part of the cabinet, and I modified it to do this, and it just worked out great. I just think that's going to give a lot more support not only to the cabinet but to the control panel, and I can make me like a couple of lag bolt holes or just bolt holes over here, and put some large type of bolts go down through the control panel and have it set down in this and bolted in so the control panel will be connected. And if you ever need to remove it, you just have to take maybe 4 bolts out or something. Might only use 2. Just depends on how it feels when I set the control panel on there. I just want it, you know, sitting in place really good and sturdy, and that's basically going to make it like a part of the cabinet. But I mean, it's sturdy right now. You can shake the holder and cabinet with it the way it's connected, but we're going to let that glue set up really good. and got a good bit done tonight. Got that piece in. Got those pieces in down there to reinforce the bottom on both sides, all glued and screwed together. I mean, this cabinet's just undergoing a complete transformation. It's just it's going to be nothing like what it was before. This is my first attempt at doing this kind of thing, but it's working out really great. I mean, about the only remnant of the cabinet that makes it look anything like the bowling cabinet is just this top piece up here. Now you see my bird in the background, but this top piece that originally had a little speaker there, and like I say, this is about to go away. This is one of the next things we're going to do. This piece is coming out. We may use it for some reinforcing somewhere in the cabinet, since it's dead on 2 feet wide. It could be used for bracing somewhere. But I'm going to put another piece in that's pretty much identical to this, but it's going to be plain plywood, and it's going to stop right about the front of the monitor or so, just far enough to where when you put the bezel on, it's going to hide maybe about 2 inches of the wood or so back in here. But I want it really good and open so I can get back in the back of it and work on everything good. But the bezel will hide that part on back in there. It doesn't need to go back that far, and it doesn't need a speaker hole there, because the new piece that's going to be installed, I'm probably going to have stereo speakers in it. I want to have one right here, and I want to have one right over here, and I'll show you in just a second the speakers I'm going to use. But there's the back of the cabinet, and there's that old piece. It's got a little bit of stains on it too. Something must have been spilt on this cabinet one time. But there's where the old speaker used to be. We're going to leave these cleats though. Leave these cleats, or at least leave them back about 9 inches or 10 inches though, to support that new piece. We don't need them back here, but the thing is, I think these cleats are not only screwed in place, but I think they're glued, so there's no use in tearing it out and making a mess if I don't need to. We'll probably just leave them all the way back to about right here and cut off maybe about 1 inch of them, use a Dremel or something, or a multi-tool or something like that. My nephew has a new multi-tool. I told him I might borrow from him for that. But we want to cut that off so that 3/4 inch back can, go in here and not be impeded by that, But let me show you what those speakers look like. Okay guys, here's the speakers I'm going to use in this cabinet. Now there's some old sticker residue on top of here. I'm going to clean that off with some of my goof off I've got in the next room. These are actually some really nice LabTech speakers. I bought these at Staples years ago. I mean, it's probably been over 10 years back. And I wanted a really nice set of speakers to game with. And at that time, these were like maybe a $60 pair or something. They're really, to be honest, they had excellent sound. But I bought another pair that was more powerful. Now these are by LabTech, like I said. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Logitech makes LabTech. This is like a cheaper brand or a cheaper version of certain items that they create. I mean, they don't look identical. Most LabTech stuff I've seen is different than Logitech. But if I'm not mistaken, I think I read that LabTech is put out by Logitech. Now, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But these were nice little cube-shaped like speakers. I had them for a long time and used them on a couple of systems I had. And then my wife, she started using them when I got my new surround sound Logitech speakers. And they've got 4 channels in the subwoofer and everything. But this is just a 2-channel system and the subwoofer. But it really has really decent bass, I think, for the size it is. You can kind of get an idea. I'll step back of the size compared to like the 25-inch monitor. Move the lamp back where you can kind of see better. But see the monitor there, and that's just really a pretty nice subwoofer. And it's got a big power adapter for it. Now this is probably going to get plugged into a power strip or something, whatever I create on the inside. I may actually just do some normal house electrical type wiring on the inside and just put a couple outlets in there or something. And probably do want some surge suppression though, so I'll figure out what I'm going to do with that. But these little speakers here, they just got a really good sound, good kind of mid-range to them, and some good highs. And then you get your bass from that. And I don't think, let's see, yeah, there's no separate control for how much bass you've got in it. I think you have to control that through software in the computer. There's one volume dial here on top of the one of the satellite speakers, the left and right speakers, and it controls the sound for the whole system pretty much overall. But what I'm probably going to end up doing is totally decasing these taking the guts out of them, mounting it in the cabinet. So all the shell's going to go away. This, on the other hand, I may very well keep it intact just like it is. On the bottom, if I can turn it up. Okay, on its side, you see on the bottom, it's got the speaker exposed down there, and it's got these rubberized feet. Actually hard plastic. Thought they were rubberized. And I mean, the little box it's built into is just so good and sturdy. I mean, you know, it's made like, you know, some of the more expensive type ones. And I've always thought it just sounded kick-ass. It really did for the size it was. So it's going to get mounted on the inside, so we're going to have some decent bass. And these two satellite speakers, once they're decased, they'll be installed up here above the monitor. I'll have one on the left and one on the right, so we will have actual stereo sound in the cabinet. But I don't know. To be honest, there might be a way that I can utilize this panel here that has that hole in there. It's almost the exact size of the bass speaker. There is a possibility I could decase that and make my own cavity in the bottom of the cabinet for bass. But I mean, I don't want to go just crazy with this cabinet. I want it to be a little bit unique. But if I do that, you know, I could remount the speaker in it and just make another cavity. But if you get too large and that speaker's not designed for it, then the bass probably is not going to sound that great anyway. If you just mount it in there and I just kind of centralize it in the bottom of the cabinet, it's going to give you some pretty decent bass inside the cabinet just the way it's in this box already. So, but anyway, I wanted to show you that, guys. Trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to show you. I'm about done for the night. It's about 11:30 and I need to quit skimping on my sleep. I've been trying to give myself at least 6 hours sleep, and tomorrow is my birthday. Well, actually in 30 minutes. Pay no attention to dirty dishes if you see them. Yeah, 11:32. At 11:32, and here in about 28 minutes, I'll be turning 42, unfortunately. Getting old, really old, and I'm feeling it too. But I'm going to step back on the stairs here for a second and just let you take a look at the cabinet. And the top of that, it's kind of white. It almost makes this thing look like a big whale because it's black and it's got a white top. That old white paint on there seen better days though. But I actually kind of like the way the white looks with black. But you know, I'm going with a black theme with some blue in it. I don't know if I'm going to put any white in it, but if I do, you know, I don't know, it had white on top and it had white on the back. I didn't like the white on the back because they just had a piece of 3/4 inch stock just basically screwed straight to the back, and you could see the reveal all the way down the back of it. It was pretty ugly to me. But really moving along with things, guys, and I don't know, the more progress I make, the more motivated I get. And I've been working on this thing forever. It's been, I think, close to 2 years maybe. And just hard to work when you don't have a workshop. You've got your house and the front porch maybe and a little bit of yard space. It's kind of hard to work on something like this when you have to keep putting tools up and stuff like that, because I don't have a really large house to work on things like this. But there's something, I don't know if I mentioned in one of the other videos, there's a surprise coming with some of the artwork. I think I might have mentioned it. Something really, to me, pretty neat about the artwork I'm going to use when it's done. And I haven't had it completely designed how it's going to be on the cabinet. I know I'm definitely going to have a marquee, custom marquee, and a custom control panel artwork. Haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do about the sides. I'd like to have something, but there is also a possibility that the sides may be left just with the black laminate because it's pretty sleek like that. But maybe something simple. I don't want to cover the entire side, just something, you know, more the size of like medallion artwork. But it is going to be custom. It's not going to be anything that anything any of you have probably seen before. I don't think you have seen these pieces of work before. There's a possibility, but it's going to be kind of neat when I tell you about the artwork. I'm not going to tell you now, maybe later, but I might wait till I get it all ready. So, but anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll get back with this tomorrow and do some more work. Talk to you guys later.